Some cracking derbies this weekend. We have the Merseyside derby as Liverpool faced Everton. And if you go to Serie A, a gigantic Milan derby as AC Milan and Inter Milan fight for the top of Serie A. We have the Premier League, La Liga, Liga A, Bundesliga, and so much more. We have some sound bites from West Ham's Tomas Soucek. This and much more as Qué Golazo weekend preview begins right now. Hey everybody, welcome to Qué Golazo, our weekend preview with the one, the only, the eternal Jimmy Conrad. Jimmy, what's up, man?
What's up, Luis? There's a lot of games, and there's games on games on games, and I'm here for it. I'm excited. It's another big game. A lot of derbies this particular weekend, so I'm excited to get into it.
Super excited. And usually, there's a lot of banter at the beginning, but we're going to get straight into it, everybody. Okay. As Jimmy mentioned, big games, especially derbies. Let's begin with the one in the Premier League as Liverpool host Everton. Massive game, Merseyside derby. Jimmy, what do you have for us?
Well, let's get into the fun facts. It's the 289th time that these two have faced off against each other. And I really feel like this one's pretty significant, given that they're only separated by 3 points and one spot in the table. What I find to be super crazy from a Liverpool perspective was about 2 months ago, they were on top of the table. Let's fast forward 2 months. They're 16 points behind Man City. It's just what happens, And another fun fact I have is that Liverpool have lost 5 league games since the start of 2021. They lost 5 league games combined 2019 and 2020. I mean, that's 72 matches. That is really next level stat. So they're clearly not the same squad for a number of reasons: injuries, bad luck, poor form, goalkeeping errors from Alisson, whatever you want. They actually haven't been playing poorly. If you watch a lot of their games, they were in the game with Leicester. They gave that one away. They were hanging with Man City for a little bit. They just took care of RB Leipzig. So they're in good form, whereas Everton are coming off back-to-back losses. Fulham was pretty embarrassing in Goodison Park. They got slapped around by Man City midweek. I don't know. I mean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin missed the midweek game against City. He's coming back into the team. Hamas didn't start, but will probably start here. Alon comes back into the team. Yerry Mina's going to be out, though. They do have some center back coverage. I don't know. I like this Liverpool team right now. I've got lots of good vibes from them. Also, let's just talk about it. The last time these two teams played, it was 2-2. But despite that, that's when Virgil van Dijk got hurt by Jordan Pickford. I think there's some bad blood, and I just feel like Liverpool are going to come out. I'm just going to say it, Luis. They're going to kick their ass. I think there's something to prove here in a lot of different ways. I like Liverpool to win and both teams to score. That is plus 180. I think Everton will get something because that defense for Liverpool is still a little vulnerable. I think they will give up a chance, and I think Everton will bury it. But ultimately, I think Liverpool going to do the business. The fun one to consider for this is the number of cards. This is the fun exotic bet I found for you guys on William Hill. This fixture has the most red cards in Premier League history.
Of course it does.
Take that to the bank. Under 4, if you guys want just under 4 total cards, it's minus 118. I was like, nah, there's not going to be under 4 cards. Why is that the heavy favorite? Is William Hill insane? And then 4 to 6 is where it gets a little tricky. That's plus 145. Back in the 2-2 game, when they played at Goodison Park, it was 6 cards in that one, including a red for Richarlison in the 91st minute. Over 6 is plus 480. I'm kind of going over 6. I like that value a lot at plus 480. I don't know about you guys, but that's my breakdown of the game. I think Liverpool are going to be up for it.
Thank you, Jimmy. That was excellent. And I got to say, there's hard to argue against all of that. First of all, I think that the Liverpool win against RB Leipzig kind of sparked a new fire in them. They looked good. They looked resilient. They were up for it. And what better way to follow that up with their bitter rivals, Everton? For Everton's side, as an Aston Villa fan, I'm loving this because the thing is they're trying to climb up that table and they are not winning. They lost to Man City, of course, and they're looking a little bit vulnerable. DCL coming back is a major thing. James coming back is a major thing, but is it enough? The other thing is, when you look at it historically, Jimmy, Liverpool are unbeaten in their last 23 meetings with Everton. So historically, it just shows one way. The fact that I don't think the Anfield thing is a factor just because it's an empty stadium. I think both of them will be up for it. I'm with you 1,000,000%. There's going to be so many bookings in this. It's going to be crazy. There's a lot of bad blood. And I think that when you incorporate new players, right? I'm talking about Davies, Ben Davies, and of course, Quebec. Like sometimes the emotions get ahead of you. And the focus maybe is lost a little bit. And I feel that there might be a situation in this game where let's hope for not an injury like it was against Virgil van Dijk, but it will get testy. And I think that the testier it gets, the worse it gets for Carlo Ancelotti's side. I see Liverpool winning this one as well, perhaps something like 3-1.
Yeah, I could see that. I believe that, to your point about Liverpool just needing some breaks to go their way. When we look at that RB Leipzig game midweek, a couple bad errors from RB Leipzig, and finally something went their way. They buried their chances, cool, calm, and composed. They did what they needed to do on the other side of the ball too. I think that clean sheet from a mental perspective, a confidence perspective, especially with Kabak in the lineup, was very important for them from a psychological angle of, okay, nobody's making any mistakes back here. We just did what we needed to do. We got out of this situation with a 2-0 win. I think that will carry over for sure. Whereas Everton are kind of coming in a little unsure of themselves. They ran up against the Man City team. I'm sure we'll talk about them with regard to their match against Arsenal. Those guys are unplayable. So you lose 3-1 to Man City. You're like, all right, what are you going to do? Those guys are unbelievable. But losing to Fulham, I thought, was a lot more disappointing. Those are the games they need to win. If they really want to get into the top 6, they have to win games that are against teams, especially that are in the relegation zone and not playing very well. Well, I mean, Fulham are actually playing okay, but I don't take anything away from the Cottagers. But they're still Fulham.
No, this is a side that Everton should be winning. Like it's like, Fulham, you're good, but you're still Fulham.
I mean, they're playing better. They're making it. They're harder to break down, I'll say. But yeah, Everton shouldn't be losing to them 2-0 at home.
Yeah, and Fulham needed to get a result out of the Burnley game, and it didn't happen. So, it just goes back to the reality here. From just a standings perspective, by the way, everybody, as we're talking, of course, Liverpool 6th and Everton 7th. A win for Everton gets them even on points. Of course, Liverpool has a better goal differential, but it's important. And to your point, Jimmy, from a few weeks ago, maybe even earlier this week, I can't remember. We've done so many episodes, is that Liverpool really is not anymore like, forget the Premier League title, bye-bye. Champions League, that's in jeopardy at this point. So they need to get these wins.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I think we've talked about it with regard to where do they put their focus. And Jurgen Klopp's come out and said, well, we have a chance to win silverware in the Champions League where we don't in the league. So we're going to go for that. They're out of the FA Cup as well. So, but top 4 is important. It's important in a lot of different ways. I think it's important in the transfer market. It's important for keeping players, right, and not losing guys. So it's very important. They're trying to get Virgil van Dijk to sign a new 5-year deal. They're trying to ink new deals with Mo Salah as well. If you're in the Champions League, it's a lot easier to have those conversations than if you're not. Or if you have to fight through the Europa League or even fight out of not being in the top 6. We saw it with Chelsea. They win the title one year and then finish 8th or 9th the following season. So it can happen. It's not outside the realm of possibility, but it wouldn't be a good look for Liverpool, especially given how good they are.
Yeah. Speaking of Chelsea, that's our next game. And Thomas Tuchel is having one of those honeymoon periods. I wonder how long it will last, but it's doing very well for him as they travel to face Southampton. That's actually the early kickoff on Saturday. And talking about Liverpool needing to, go up the table and have a top 4 spot, Chelsea could care less because they won that spot and they are 4th right now. And of course, Southampton is a tough opponent. They haven't been as good as it was at the very beginning of the season. Chelsea, I think, can take a lot of advantage. What do you have here, Jimmy? Chelsea traveling south to Southampton.
Well, this is all pointing towards Chelsea. Southampton might have been a tough opponent, as you mentioned a couple months ago. Not so much now. They lost to Wolves 2-1 in their last game. They've now lost their last 6 straight in the league. That's a run of 1 win in 11, which leaves Southampton, which is crazy because we were talking about them being somewhat the darlings of the Premier League a couple months ago. Leaves them in the bottom half of the table. On the other side of things, Chelsea just had a really good performance against my Newcastle. Not too surprising, all things considered. It was a 2-0 win. The problem was Tammy Abraham went out about 20 minutes in with an ankle injury, so Olivier Giroud will probably get the start here. Thiago Silva probably could play in this one, but I think they want to make sure he's 100% fit for Atletico Madrid next week in the Champions League. Chelsea have conceded just 1 goal in their 5 league matches under Tuchel. That's pretty impressive. And that was an Antonio Rudiger own goal. It wasn't like the other team even scored. So the value that I like a lot, because Chelsea's a pretty heavy favorite here. And also I should mention that they've won 5 straight. Every time they've gone to Southampton and won 5 straight at the St. Mary's. So it's all kind of pointing towards Chelsea. The clean sheet is what I'm looking at. That's probably the best value you're going to find on William Hill. Clean sheet for Chelsea's plus 145. I like that one.
Yeah, nothing much more to add. I guess just a question for you, Jimmy. It seems Christian Pulisic is fighting for minutes. as of late.
Yeah.
Obviously, he doesn't necessarily fit a natural system that Tuchel, he likes his teams narrow. But then again, Pulisic is somebody that can be versatile, but he's not necessarily right now being the perfect choice for Tuchel. Mason Mount, of course, being, part of that format, and, using fullbacks, full wingbacks can be a disadvantage to, wide players. What do you make of Pulisic's run of minutes, lack of minutes with Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea?
My sense is that he might not be playing well in training. I don't know if he's playing or not playing well for what he's being asked, the responsibilities, or players are just playing better than him at the current moment. It seems like, even Kepa's getting back into the team for Chelsea, right? And the much maligned Kepa, who everybody thought was going to be shipped out. They went and bought another goalkeeper because Kepa was playing so poorly. He's getting a chance to play under Tuchel. So I don't know if Pulisic can't get a chance, especially with his former manager at Borussia Dortmund. You wonder what's going on in a lot of different ways. To your point, though, they get their width in a different way under Tuchel. You got Hudson-Odoi, who's been playing very well. It's kind of a wide wing back in some ways. And then Marcus Alonso, who doesn't like to play defense, really enjoying this new breath of fresh air under Tuchel, where he can just kind of get forward and not worry about his defensive responsibilities because they have that back line of three. They play a box in the middle. So everybody that doesn't know, they have a holding double pivot. So we got Jorginho and Kovacic, who kind of sit in front of that back three. And then they have Werner and Mason Mount to play right above them. And I just don't know where Pulisic really fits. He's not really the Hudson-Odoi role, right? Like a straight out wing back, but he's also maybe too pinched in with Mason Mount or Timo Werner. And I just don't know where he's going to break out and do his thing. He likes to pick up the ball somewhat wide in those pockets between the midfield and the back line, and then run at you and do his thing. This system isn't set up for him to have that type of success. So I do, I guess I'm expressing some concern here about how he's going to be utilized moving forward. Tuchel will find a way, and once he gets his minutes, he's got to make the most of them. But yeah, it doesn't look good for him at the moment, which is kind of sad.
He'll find a way, but yeah, you just answered it there. I think the formation strategy doesn't suit him. Regardless, we'll see what happens. All right, sticking with the Premier League, so many games here. A London derby here, West Ham. High-flying West Ham. David Moyes is West Ham against the complete opposite to what's happening with Tottenham. Obviously, there's a caveat here, everybody, because we're taping before Tottenham's Europa League game. In fact, some of these games will probably be saying that a lot just because, be wary in terms of injuries or anything like that. Anything can happen. But in terms, Jimmy, of this game and what it means to both sides and what you would expect, what do you think?
When I think about this game in particular, it reminds me of their game back in October. And that was the game where Gareth Bale made his first appearance for the club when they were up 3-0 on West Ham. Gareth Bale comes on, and it ends up 3-3. And I really feel like that might have been somewhat of a turning point for Spurs because they were cruising. They were on close to the top of the table or on top of the table, if anybody wants to correct me that's listening or watching. And it seemed like everything was pointing in the right direction. Oh, they got this, got their favorite son back from Real Madrid. He's going to lead them to glory. Look he comes on as a super sub. They're up 3-0. Everything's going great. And honestly, that next 30 minutes changed everything. They go on to win that one. Maybe things are different. Who knows? Jose Mourinho does wear his teams down in a way that some other managers don't. They can't get out of their own way. They haven't established that same type of rhythm that we saw at the beginning of the season. I think teams have figured them out a little bit. Just like, let's just put 3 or 4 guys on Heung-min Son and Harry Kane, and nobody else on the team can beat us, So West Ham in particular, though, they're above them. I never thought at this point in the season we would be saying, hey, West Ham's in 5th and Spurs are in 9th at this point. The odds on William Hill, it's pretty split. So if you guys are looking for parlays or whatever, I think there's some good value here. West Ham to win straight up is plus 160. The draw is plus 235. Tottenham to win straight up is plus 170. So the bookies think it's a coin flip as well. I could see this being a draw, right? We just saw it before the 3-3. I don't know what's going to happen with regard to lineups. I suspect that because they're playing Wolfsberger, Tottenham, I don't think they're going to roll out the number 1 guys in this first leg of the Europa League. I think they're going to just try to get an away goal, maybe lock it in 1-1, 0-0, whatever, and then try to win it in the second leg. And I do think we'll probably see a pretty good lineup. Kane and Son will probably be in this one. West Ham are good though, Luis. I don't know. It's tough. David Moyes deserves a lot of credit for quietly putting a very good team together and making them difficult to beat.
Yep, they're a good side. The only thing that helps Tottenham a little bit is that West Ham have lost each of their last 3 home league games against Tottenham. I don't know how much that means right now because it's all about momentum and form. Right. And West Ham, as you mentioned, is higher up the table to Tottenham. And of course, we have to wait and see what happens. By the way, this is a Sunday game. Obviously, Europa League teams don't play on a Saturday. They'll play on a Sunday, Tottenham being one of them. Before we move on, by the way, our very own James Benge talked to a West Ham, not just West Ham, somebody who's in form in the entire Premier League, just scoring for fun. So good. Tomas Soucek talks a little bit about his time at West Ham and everything else. Check it out.
You've got Tottenham at the weekend. Is that a game that, I know you've played them once or twice before. Is that already a game that you look forward to, that there's an extra sense of excitement when that game against Tottenham's coming up?
This now on the Sunday is going to Tottenham, and we I think that all players and staff look forward to this game because we know how high we are at the table and how this game could help us. So everyone prepared very, very hard, and I hope that we get it similar like last maybe 5-10 matches from the year 2021 is getting very well. So I hope that we carry on in this performance and we take 3 points.
That was Tommy Soucek. I don't know if he likes Tommy, Jimmy, but it sounds better, doesn't it? Tommy Soucek? I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I don't go with James. I go with Jimmy. It's more Hollywood sounding.
Exactly.
Tommy. Let's give him the old Tommy nickname.
Let's do it. All right. Staying in the Premier League because of so many games, and we'll just keep rolling here. Sunday, another game. Arsenal against Man City. The student against the teacher. I don't know what to tell you, Jimmy. Man City
I know exactly what to tell you, Luis. Listen, everybody. It does not matter what Arsenal does against Benfica in the Europa League. It does. Aubameyang can score 10 goals. And I don't care. Manchester City are going to beat you. They are unplayable right now. And they crushed Everton. They crushed the souls of Everton. Everton thought I liked Everton's energy in that game when I got to see good portions of it midweek. I was like, all right, Everton's in this. It's 1-1 at one point. All right, they got a good chance. You can see a sense of a belief. Come on, City didn't give up any corners, only 2 shots on goal, had 70% possession, and then scored some absolute peaches. I mean, and from different guys, Foden, Bernardo Silva, Riyad Mahrez. I mean, Gabriel Jesus is just dropping assists. I mean, they're just on fire right now. They are unplayable. So again, I don't care what Arsenal does. I really don't what they're going to do in Benfica. They also get an extra day of rest, Man City. So that doesn't feel fair either.
And by the way, Kevin De Bruyne is back.
Yeah, and that too. So yeah, I like the clean sheet. I'm trying to find value for you guys. It's not too one-sided, but I'm trying to find some stuff that makes sense on William Hill. Clean sheet for City's plus 120. Man City to win, both teams to score. If you're feeling like maybe Arsenal will get a goal in some capacity, which is possible, that's plus 200. But City to win with a clean sheet is plus 150. So those are the ones I'm kind of looking at, but I wanted to give you guys both options in case you thought maybe you're a Gunners fan and you think they got a chance against City. They don't have a chance against City. However, if you think they're going to score, there's still some value. Would you bet against your own team? That's what I want to know. I don't know, but I don't think that Arteta, even though he knows that Man City team very well, that he has much of a chance, especially because, and I'll say this, we said it before with Arsenal, they had to travel to Rome for this leg 1, right? Now they got to fly back to play City, and then they got to fly back down to Greece to play leg 2 next week. That seems pretty harsh, and I think City are going to take full advantage of that.
Yeah, and to your question before, an Arsenal fan will never bet against them, even if
they'd be rich right now,
Even if they're playing against like 1970 Brazilian team, like it doesn't matter. I mean, listen, if we go back to what happened recently, you could see that Mikel Arteta super held back. It was very sort of counter-attacking against. It doesn't matter. Man City is just too good. To your point, Kevin De Bruyne is back. Pep Guardiola is saying that maybe Ilkay Gundogan will be back for this one. It doesn't matter. Gundogan's amazing. He's been great. But look at all the Arsenal. I'm using their own team against them. The Arsenal that Man City has to try and beat them. It's just not going to happen. Arsenal have lost their last 7 league matches against Man City. And the Gunners have only ever lost more consecutively against Leeds, actually. Man City is after that. So listen, it's just Man City all the way. I think that it'll be very similar to the other game. Mikel Arteta will hold. It'll be maybe 0-0 for a while. And then suddenly Man City will be like, you know what? We got to get ready for Mönchengladbach. Let's just get going.
I'll say, though, the last time these two played in the league, it was tight. It was at the Etihad.
Very tight.
1-0. That Man City team is much different from this one. That was the Man City team that was struggling to get anything going. They're really focused on playing good, sound, solid defense. They got the clean sheet that reflects that. The Man City that we see now is the one that beat them 4-1 in the League Cup not too long ago. So, I find it hard to really muster any type of confidence for Arsenal to get a result. They're not. I mean, maybe somehow, some way they could get a draw if all of a sudden. Somehow, but I still don't. I'm trying to reach here for Arsenal fans. I just don't see it.
No, me neither. We got two more games to talk about in the Premier League before we take a break. Let's try and be quick about it, but we want to give you everything. Let's talk about Villa hosting Leicester City. Leicester City, again, doing well. Again, they're playing in the Europa League, so it's a little tricky to figure out, but they do have crucial injuries heading into this one. Villa, of course, will be without Matty Cash. That's a big deal. They're right back, of course. There is cover, but Matty Cash has been tremendous. But Villa, Leicester City, a good game, definitely for the neutral, and the way that if you enjoy your football, you enjoy these two managers facing each other. Yeah,
it's going to be a good one. Villa have dropped off a smidge. Leicester continue to kind of hold their ground and are currently tied with Manchester United on 46 points in the table, second and third respectively there. Villa, I thought, have rebounded well from their loss to West Ham. They beat Arsenal and Brighton. They got a draw. So it's 4 points out of those two games, but 2 clean sheets. And I think that's really important for Villa to kind of get that confidence going again on that side of the
Emiliano
ball.
Martinez, my friend.
He is making some big saves. Leicester, though, are coming into this one on the back of 3 clean sheets in their last 4. So I, in some ways, expect it to be pretty close. Leicester are also unbeaten in their last 8 away from home. They've won 5 of those 8. So they're good in these types of situations. I hate betting the under, but I like the under at 2.5 goals plus 100. It was a little tougher to find the straight up fun value in this one, but I like the under. I think it's going to be tight. I could see a 1-1. I don't know if Jamie Vardy's going to play in the Europa League. Indeed, they might be held back a little bit for this game in particular, because it's pretty clear that Brendan Rodgers not only wants to finish in the top 4, but I think he quietly wants to finish above Liverpool, the club that he got fired from. So a lot of storylines there. And I why wouldn't he? He's a human being. I mean, it makes sense that he'd want to do that and kind of show them that he's the goods. And he's clearly proven he's a top manager. Ricardo Pereira, I think, is the interesting one for me. He was the best right back in the Premier League last season. He will not play in the Europa League, just so he can be ready for this game as they ease him back into full health. So he's going to be a big boost for that defense in Leicester. That's a little bit thin right now with Fofana out, James Justin out, amongst a couple other defenders. So we'll see how it goes. I could see a 1-1 here, though. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be a really good game. And by the way, Ricardo Pereira getting ready for that weekend game on the right side. He'll be facing Jack Grealish. I'm not even going to say what's going to happen. But by the way, to your point, though, Leicester City, 46 points. And if they win, and we're going to talk about United now, but if they win and United, only draw or don't win themselves, Leicester City to second, which is unbelievable. Villa, by the way, they still have a game in hand to Everton, 2 games in hand to a few other teams above them. And if they have 36 points, if they win, they'll go above Everton if, of course, it doesn't go their way against Liverpool. All right, let's talk about Manchester United against Newcastle, a game with so much history. The famous Kevin Keegan lines, right? This is the one from the 90s. Manchester United in second, 46 points. Obviously, we have to take this before they face Real Sociedad on Thursday. Newcastle, probably happy that Fulham only got a point against Burnley. They're 17th, just above the relegation zone with 6 points above it. Talk to me, Jimmy, about your Newcastle facing Manchester United. It's at Old Trafford, right? Because it's at Old Trafford, I give them half a chance, because United can be a little dodgy at home at times and give teams like, say, Sheffield United more of a look and a possibility of winning a game than maybe if they were away from home. They went to St. James's Park earlier this season. Luke Shaw actually had an own goal 2 minutes in, if everybody remembers. And then it became the Bruno Fernandes show, and they ended up scoring 4 in the second half, or no, 3 in the second half, all after the 85th minute, by the way, to win 4-1. So Newcastle will be there. They're going to fight. They're going to scratch. I don't know if they necessarily play for their manager, Steve Bruce. I think they like the guy, all things considered, but I don't think they look at him like this guy's a footballing genius. You know, I'm learning so much from this guy. No, they're learning how to sit back and defend as a group, even though, I don't know, I've got a lot of issues with Newcastle and Steve Bruce in particular. We've already gone over some of these. It becomes therapy at times for me when I talk about them. Manchester United, though, with regard to them, you know, it depends on which team they roll out. They have the best depth that they've had in many, many seasons, and I think it's bearing fruit. They've been competitive in a lot of different ways. Paul Pogba is hurt for the midweek game. I don't know if we'll see him back for this one. Obviously, he would be a welcome addition to this squad as they try to balance multiple competitions. So United have too much class, too much quality. I think if Newcastle can score an early goal and put the pressure on them like they did the last time out, that's possible. Callum Wilson, I don't think he's going to start this one. If he does, then they got a chance. But, you know, when you can only do so much with 25% possession or whatever they can possibly have. So,
wow, you're giving 25%? That's good.
Yeah, it's a little higher than most. I'm trying to be optimistic here, Luis. But ultimately, I think United win this game. And I'll look. You give me your insight, and I'll give you guys the lines.
I mean, you said it
I
already.
didn't even
man.
go look. It's so sad. I didn't. Even
United's taking this. They're gonna want to take it. They have their own aspirations, of course, and making sure that they stay in a top 4 position. There's just too much creativity, too much danger coming from United's side. Newcastle just doesn't have enough. And if Callum Wilson, who's been, you know, his absence has really hurt Newcastle. If he doesn't play, God, I just don't know. Miguel Almiron trying to clone himself. Saint Maxime as well. I don't know. It's a very steep mountain for Newcastle United to win this one. United will take it. The only hope for Newcastle is that they keep it close and maybe see what happens. But I'll tell you what, if they lose and then Fulham gets a win, then things are looking very dangerous indeed. And I just want to check who Fulham's facing, Jimmy.
I know. I could see it. I know where you're going with this, and I'm not happy about it.
Well, they're at home to Sheffield United.
It's possible. It's possible.
So if they win, yeah, I mean, listen.
3 points. It's 3 points. That's tight.
Big. It's big.
Tight.
It's big. Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to take a break right now, so we let Jimmy just exhale a little bit. But when we come back, Serie A and a Milan derby that should be for the ages. Qué Golazo. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Qué Golazo weekend preview. We are now talking the rest of Europe, and we have to begin. I mean, it would be ludicrous if we didn't. The Milan derby, Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern, a huge game. A huge game, Jimmy. Inter Milan, top of Serie A. Milan's trying to get back to it, but obviously, again, another disclaimer before both these teams face, not each other, but have a game in the Europa League. How do you see this one? Regardless of what happens, this is just whoever's on the pitch on this one. It doesn't matter. This is a gigantic game in Italy.
It's like the Merseyside derby, right? It goes above and beyond current form. It goes above and beyond, who you're playing next week. If you're in Europe, it doesn't matter. It's between, two teams that share a city, and in particular, these two share a stadium, and there's a lot of bad blood here. And I love it. I think this is the game of the weekend for me, with all due respect to all the ones that we've talked about or the ones we're going to talk about after this. If only because I think it determines who's going to potentially win the Scudetto. And I think it's Inter Milan's to lose. They finally got the top spot. They made it theirs. And it's coming off a Milan performance against Spezia that was so listless. Like, before that game kicked off last weekend, where they lost 2-0 to Spezia. Spezia is in 13th place, everybody. They knew that Juve lost to Napoli. It was a chance for them to create a bigger gap against the defending champions, the 9-time defending champions, and they couldn't do it. And I just don't understand. It wasn't like Zlatan was out there. All their top guys were out there. Didn't even get a shot on goal against Spezia. And that's what troubles me a little bit about this Milan team, knowing that they had to go get a result and they couldn't go do it. That said, Inter Milan has gone through their own spells of that this season, mainly in these competitions outside of the league. Now they can only focus on this. They have no midweek games. They're out of the Coppa Italia. They're out of Europe. No Europa League, no Champions League. This is theirs, and they can taste it. And they beat Lazio last week. Lazio were on fire, and they're like, yeah, no problem. They beat them 3-1, complete control of it for most of it. And they look like the better side, and I think they're going to go on and do it. I like Inter Milan to win this one a lot, especially because Milan have to play against Red Star Belgrade. And that's going to be tough for Stefano Pioli, the manager of Milan, to figure out how to balance both. And who does he start in both of these matches? So in terms of betting, I like Inter to win. I think Zlatan will show up. He loves playing in big games. Him scoring any times plus 105. That's decent value. But I like Inter to win. Romelu Lukaku will probably hit one or two. Both teams to score plus 265. And then Inter goes on and wins the league from here. I think this is like this is a statement game for Inter Milan. If they lost or if there was a draw, I think they still go on to win the league. But you're letting AC Milan hang out a little bit. I think Milan will end up dropping to third by the end of the table. I think Juve will end up getting second. But this is a big one for Inter to just really say we're in charge of the Scudetto this season. It's ours to lose.
This is gigantic. And to your point, good correction about Inter Milan. They're not, I'm sorry, in the Europa League at all. They have just this to focus on. And this is obviously, aside from all, if they're both fit, of course, Romelu Lukaku against Zlatan Ibrahimovic. We, of course, know what happened last time around. So, those kind of emotions are just going to be echoed through everybody. And I think you make a very good point. I think we've said it. Whoever wins this, I think wins Scudetto. I just think that that's much of a confidence builder to it.
I don't know. I
really believe it.
I think if Milan wins this, I still think Inter goes on to win the league. They just don't have any other distractions. Milan still, as good as they are, I think they maybe have already peaked this season. And the Milanistas out there probably aren't going to be happy with me saying that, but I just think they have hit their peak. And Inter haven't. Inter just haven't. They're still a little up and down, but I think they're getting closer to who they want to be. And if they win this game, they're taking a bigger step towards making that happen. And there was a statement win against Lazio last week. They needed to win that game. Lazio were the hottest team in Italy. And they we got you. It was like the big brother putting the hand in the face of the little brother. No. You guys are on a good run, but we're in charge here, And I think this is like a huge game, and I can't wait to watch it.
It's huge. And I think the other component to Inter is the fact that just they don't have any continental worries to think about, whereas AC Milan, the further they go into the Europa League, the tougher it will get for them. All right. Anything else going on in Serie A, Jimmy Conrad?
Yeah, I think we should mention Adelanta taking on Napoli, 5th versus 6th in the table. They're even on points, so Napoli have a game in hand. They've just played against each other in the Coppa Italia semifinals, and Adelanta handled them over both. 0-0 in the first leg, even though they probably deserved a result out of that, and then beat them 3-1 in the second leg. Napoli have a ton of injuries. Koulibaly's out, Dries Mertens is out. And yes, I know this Napoli team beat Juve last week 1-0. That should be taken into consideration, but Juve had 27 shots, I think, and Napoli had 7. And the only reason they scored is because Chiellini puts his big giant palm in somebody's face, and that gave him a penalty, and that's how they won. Juve, as we saw in the Porto game, maybe not being as clinical in the attacking third as they'd like to be. So I kind of chalk that up to more bad luck for Juve than good luck for Napoli. I think Adelanta is going to do the business here. I like the win. Adelanta likes to score and over 2.5 goals plus 180. I like Duvan Zapata. I'm considering him to score and Adelanta to win exactly either 2-0, 2-1, or 3-1 at plus 500. It's turning my head a little bit, but that should be a good one as well. It's just unfortunate Napoli are going to Spain to take on Granada in the Europa League, so they've got another competition to manage, whereas Adelanta didn't have a game midweek because they are playing in the Champions League next week.
Yeah, they have Real Madrid, which is, another piece of homework they have to take care of. But regardless, it's a good time to play Napoli, especially after they're coming back from a trip from Europa League, I guess. All right, let's Juventus Crotone on Monday. I mean, it should be straightforward. Juventus will be angry a little bit after that Porto loss, I guess, and they want to climb up that table. The thing is, things are not going Andrea Pirlo's way in terms of Scudetto, Champions League. It's tough here. I mean, Crotone is not exactly, a Portuguese champion, but they are, they could pose a threat. Anything there, do you think?
I would say with regard to Juve, they're still trying to find an identity. It seems like, a new game, a new lineup, maybe, a new tactical formation. I really feel like they missed Juan Cuadrado in particular against Porto. And that's something they needed to consider. Like, okay, if we miss one player, we can't have that bad of a game. We need to make sure we have that balance and that we're still, providing options. So we're not getting too one-sided. They felt really one-sided against Porto. And I think Porto in some ways kind of put out a blueprint. Hey, if you want if you want to beat Juve, this is the way to do it. You just close the space as fast as possible. You try to play into their egos. You know, all these guys think they can play for Juve, right? And then all of a sudden you put a little pressure on them and they get too casual, and then you can score. So it's interesting times for Juve. Andrea Pirlo in particular, I think he's still trying to figure out what his identity is. And I do think that Cristiano Ronaldo demands a lot of attention in terms of how you build a team around him. And I wonder, is Ronaldo going to stay after this season? If they don't win a Scudetto, if they don't win the Coppa Italia, they're in the final against Adelanta. If they don't win the Champions League, don't win a trophy. I mean, they won the Italian Super Cup. I guess that counts. So you have that, but that's not enough to keep somebody like Cristiano Ronaldo. So I'm kind of curious how that all plays out too. There's a lot riding on this Juventus season. So I'm curious to see how it all goes down.
Absolutely. Me too. All right, let's do a quick roundup of the rest. Let's begin in the Bundesliga, because Eintracht Frankfurt, who, is on a roll, facing Bayern Munich. Should be a great game in Germany there. What do you see there?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but Bayern Munich played midweek and had a 3-3 draw with Arminia Bielefeld, which was a big surprise for everybody. They had to come back and get the 3-3 draw, but they got the draw. So fair play to Bayern for still figuring out ways to get results. But the lead at the top now is only 5 points. RB Leipzig is in second on 44. Bayern Munich have 49. So I feel like, all right, maybe there is a slight chance, gives Leipzig a little bit of a belief. So this is a big game because Frankfurt are on fire, and they're very similar to Bayern. They have one of the top goal scorers in the league. Andre Silva has 18. Lewandowski has 25. They're undefeated at home, Frankfurt, right? And so is Bayern Munich. I think I have one other fun fact about them too. They've only lost twice all season. Both teams have only lost twice all season. So this is a good one. It depends. One of the things I've learned throughout this wagering career of mine is that you never bet against Bayern Munich because it's such a certainty in life they're going to do the business. But I could see a draw here because of how even they play and just how vulnerable. If you're giving up 3 goals against Arminia Bielefeld, who's not that great, imagine when you play against a team that actually is one of the hottest teams in the Bundesliga, right? So, and they're in third right now, Eintracht. So they're 10 points behind Bayern Munich at the moment, but. This is an interesting game. So the draw's plus 333. I would look at that pretty hard if you're interested in this one, if you're looking into parlays or whatever. I could also see, because Bayern did have they get to rest midweek. Well, I don't know when the last time Bayern got to rest midweek. They could be pretty fired up and ready to go. So I could see Andre Silva scoring to give him a nod because of his great season so far. Bayern winning, then both teams to score, obviously, that would be plus 333. But if you're thinking, no way, Bayern all day, every day, come on, what am I even talking about? Jimmy, you're on drugs. Lewandowski to score, Bayern to win. And I think that Eintracht will score because Bayern just loves bleeding goals. So both teams to score plus 210. That's pretty good value too.
Well, I tell you what, the team that Bayern Munich has lost the most away from home is Eintracht Frankfurt. So you never know what could happen there. And by the way, you mentioned, of course, Bayern Munich's last game in the league. We've seen enough of the blueprint this season that they are vulnerable every now and again. They can allow some goals. And to your point, when you face a red hot side, then things can get a little bit more complicated. But Lewandowski's going to score at some point.
So good.
Whether Bayern Munich wins or not, that's another question. All right, let's go to Spain, Jimmy Conrad. I mean, very quickly, as is, of course, over there, Atletico Madrid against Levante. Real Valladolid against Real Madrid, and Barcelona against Cadiz. So all of this, you would expect a win, a parlay here, maybe all of them to win.
I don't know. I mean, Atletico just played Levante and they drew 1-1 and had to come back to make that happen. Levante,
very annoying team.
They are very annoying. They are one of those teams you're like, oh my God, we got to play Levante.
They just get in your face and they don't care.
Yeah, it's like Premier League. It's like, oh God, we got to play West Ham. It's one. Do we really have to go play West Ham right now? It's just one of those kind of teams. And so Levante's solid. And I think they're going to put together a good performance. I'd like to think that Leti, that was away from home at the Wanda Metropolitano. They're very good at home. They're going to get a result, but they had to give up one of their games in hand now. So they only have one game in hand on Real Madrid, who are in second. And that lead's starting to get a little bit smaller. So I wonder when the squeaky bum time starts to come into effect. This is what Real Madrid do very, very well. They just hang around and they hang around. We saw it in the Champions League group stages, right? You're like, oh, Real Madrid's out. Then all of a sudden they hang around and they get a couple results and then they win the group. You're like, wait, how did Real Madrid win the group? And I think that there's still a possibility that if Atleti start to hit a stretch where they can't get the goals, or maybe they're leaking some bad ones. It happens to every single team in every season. But if they can limit that, then they have a chance. But now it's starting to get razor thin. And then when that pressure gets a little bit tighter, we'll see how Atleti responds. And Real Madrid just has to hang around. Barcelona just have to hang around a little bit and see how it goes. So I'm curious. These are the games, though, that Atleti, your champions, if you're going to win any league, you have to win these. And they're not always pretty wins, but you have to go out there and do it. So keep your eye on all three of these games. I don't think all three of them are going to win, which will obviously give us a lot of fodder to talk about on Sunday. Yeah, and of course, Barcelona, who have to wake themselves up again after that loss to PSG, of course. All right, PSG Monaco. Talking of PSG, that should be a good game, I believe. Yeah, very good. You have some I do. I'm prepared for this one. I would say that this was one of my favorite games so far of this season, because when PSG played Monaco earlier in Monaco, Kylian Mbappe, playing against his former club, scored 2 goals in the first 40 minutes. They were cruising. Like PSG, we've seen this PSG before. They look so good. Like, how can anybody beat them ever? Because they look so good. That was the first half for PSG. Second half, Mr. Cesc Fabregas comes on, and he has a goal and an assist, including the game winner in the 84th minute to help Monaco turn it around. It was such a good game. Listen, if you're going to go find highlights, go watch this one. It was such a good game. And Cesc Fabregas, what an absolute hero, pulling out all the magic. I mean, that guy should start all the time. He's so crafty and good. Love him. So Monaco are quietly putting together a really good season. You know, they're in 4th. They're only 5 points behind PSG, only 1 point behind Lille at the top. So I don't know, though. It's similar to Liverpool, similar to Dortmund, who we didn't talk about, but are playing in the Riviera derby against Schalke, and Schalke sucks. So that should be pretty one-way traffic there for Dortmund. This could be the catalyst. PSG had this fantastic performance, right? And I think they're going to carry that over into taking down an opponent that took care of them a little bit earlier in the season. The safe play for me is PSG to win, both teams to score plus 160. If you're feeling this, I don't know if you've heard of him before, Kylian Mbappe, pretty good player. Him to score, both teams to score, PSG to win is plus 275. If you're feeling like you want something specific, Wissam Ben Yedder just scored 2 goals against Lorient this past weekend, including a 92nd minute game-saving draw for Monaco to keep their streak going, of unbeaten streak going. Great player. Plus 175. I like Ben Yedder to get an opportunity, him to score anytime. So some good value there. You know, you just have to find which prop bets work the best for you. Well, I like those prop bets to go for, because the thing is, it's going to be tricky for PSG because Monaco are unbeaten in the last 10. Like, they're not going to be an easy team to roll over. But to your point, a certain Mr. Kylian Mbappe will want to do his thing against his former club. I always forget, by the way. Oh, yeah, Kylian Mbappe also won the World Cup, by the way. Like, did we forget? It's ridiculous. Scored the World Cup final. Teenager. That's right. Oh, God, it's ridiculous. Well, that's it. Ending it with Kylian Mbappe praise is always a good thing. Jimmy Conrad, any final thoughts before we say goodbye in this great, loaded, packed, scintillating weekend preview? Yeah, I got to go lay down. That was a lot of games to talk about. You lay down, my friend. You have earned it. Jimmy, thank you so much, brother. Thank you. Hey, everybody. I want to thank Jimmy Conrad, James Benge, and Tomas Soucek for joining us today. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Qué Golazo Pod. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/Qué Golazo. We're also on Apple Podcasts. Please leave a rating and review. We're on Spotify, on Stitcher, cbssports.com. Keep continuing to support us, and we will provide more and more content. Have a great weekend.